So, hi everyone, welcome back to the Women in Wisdom podcast. We are excited to be back here. We are coaches with different backgrounds and different areas of expertise. We come from different countries, and we are excited to inspire you and help you to navigate through life with more ease and more joy and more flow. And therefore, we are bringing up today the topic of perfectionism because that can be, that can be an awesome quality, I believe, but it can also be sometimes a roadblock to actually make quick progress in life. So that's what we are going to discuss today. And for me, I think it's an important topic because I'm a visual artist, and at times there are moments when I cannot get my work to the. I cannot really get to that place that feels right and good for me. So it takes a lot of hours, a lot of work, and it's still not there, and it might get frustrating. So that's why I wanted to talk to with you ladies as well about your experiences, how you are navigating this when you are creating something amazing and when you have certain expectations from yourself about the quality, about the feeling of your work. So yeah, let's jump into it. So Bree, what is your experience with this quality or trait called perfectionism?
Oh, I have a lot of experience with it. But I want to say it's interesting that you find that it comes up during your creation and when you're making art, because when I'm doing my art, I'm not in that state at all. It's a way for me to get out of it. I'm just open. It just takes me to another place. I'm much better about the way that I am in myself now, but I still the art is a way for me to not be those things. It's a way for me to connect with my intuition and my creativity. And when you're in that flow, or for me it's a flow, if I were to, judge what I was making, it would just cut me off from that instantly and I would lose that connection.
Yes,
Yeah.
I understand what you mean. I think in visual arts, maybe when you are a professional artist and when you have a name or if you are putting, your website, your name out there, when you have certain goals as an artist to be represented by a gallery, or you want to grow your audience, and when you have certain plans and expectations from yourself, these kind of ideas can kick in also in the process while you are creating, and then you're like, oh, is this good enough, is this finished? The moment to understand when is the work finished, when I'm ready to present it to the public. Actually, is it good enough to be presented? Is it good enough to be hanging on the wall of a prestigious gallery, right? And sometimes it's a challenge to not to think about it in the process. And I think it's a good point to free yourself from these thoughts while you're in the process of creating in the moment, and just allow yourself to enjoy and be full expression.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it as you were talking, and it sounds like perfectionism is like a veiled word for fear of failure.
Yes.
It's like we're making fear of failure sound shiny by using the word perfectionism, and it
Oh,
doesn't do us any service. And like you said, it blocks us off. And I agree. I think, as someone who has those tendencies of wanting things to look a certain way and be a certain way, um, and um, and and having to feel like I have to do everything myself, those things are definitely limiting me. Like you said, they're blocks. And the more that what I've come to learn about it is it's me not trusting the creative power that flows through me and with me, because that's already perfect and I'm just an expression of that. So when I can give myself over to that to the fullest, it comes out better than I can imagine. So I'm not the one trying to work so hard and having to do everything all the time. I am one. as much as I can be with receiving the creator and the power that flows through me and allowing that consciousness to create through me, and I get to witness that. I get to see how that shows up in my world, and then I have a magical relationship with myself and my creations rather than trying to figure out how to make it happen and micromanaging my life. I give it over basically to my heart.
Yeah, it's interesting to listen and you guys talking about this topic, because I noticed that somehow, Arta, you are talking about it's a little bit about talking about a job. You know, your art is your job somehow, and you wanna yeah, you wanna create something where you can live from, where people have to love that or buy that or something like that. And so somehow you are more in the outer side, is my who tells that my work is good enough. And Bree, you are talking more from the inside. You don't talk about anybody outside, you know. You said I'm in the flow and I'm creating, and you talk more about yourself than. And that's somehow I really notice. I'm a mother of two, you know, and I think perfectionism is in motherhood very, very well known. And I ask myself, what is a perfect mother, or what is a good mother, even that, you know. And somehow, with whom I compare myself? Do I compare myself with my own mother, or with mothers outside, how they talk to their children, or how they behave to their children? And I every time I found someone who behave in a better way to their children than me, maybe. And yeah, to, like you said, Brie, to more be by myself in my inner, and I create something I want to fit with. What is my perfectionism, and do I have to reach it to be a good human being or something like that, you know? And with which I'm feeling well. This somehow the navigation of the feelings with which I'm feeling well. And somehow when I got my children, I really decided someday that I only go for my feelings. I decide things out of my feeling. If I'm feeling good with the decision, then it's for me the right decision, even when anybody outside is telling me it's not a good decision. It was, for example, this thing, the baby is sleeping in my bed between father and mother, and my father told me, oh, you don't get them out of your bed any days, you know. And I said, oh, it's feeling good for me, that's why I'm doing this, you know. And to have the courage and the faith that what you put out is somehow for yourself good enough, or somehow a perfection. That's very interesting, I think.
Yeah. Oh, it's super
Arta,
interesting
I
because
have a
it's like,
question for you,
yeah,
Arta. So,
sure.
and I think it's so interesting how you, Michaela, I was the inside version and she's the outside version. I love that. I love that you brought that to attention because it made me wonder, Arta, because you are in the business of art as well. So you have this really interesting connection to it, that I don't have that same pressure. Is what if you didn't care what anyone thought and you were just pleased with your work? How would that change the way that you relate to the business side of it? Like, just, I love my work and there are people that are going to love it too. And it doesn't matter what the results are. I'm doing this for me because everything is a reflection of how I think, feel, and about myself.
hmm I think it's the right attitude actually, because that benchmark is something I set for myself. What does it mean a quality work for me? What does it mean a skill? What does it mean honing my skill as an artist, my sense of color, my sense of textures, of contrast, of interesting elements to look at? Because if you're gonna make like just, I don't know, a pale painting without any interesting elements, people will just pass by, right? So there are some skill sets also involved in that, reaching certain quality of work, but that has to come from inside, you know, from me. So to satisfy my own expectation of the feeling also that I want to experience while creating, and also what I want to give to another person. What's that impact or inspiration that I would love to give to another person through my work. But the tricky thing here is, I think, the things that we need to unlearn, because, for example, in the art academy, we were trained to comply in a way with some external standards, such as requirements for grants, for subsidies for artists, because we were sort of placed out of the commercial context as artists. And then there is another road, which is subsidies. But in order to meet the requirements of the subsidies, you also need to create A, B, C, D, or to write a proposal that has this and this and this. So this is where a little bit of that conflicting information or energy comes in. And as an artist, I think you just really have to stay true to yourself, because if we are only doing things for pleasure, like pure enjoyment, only pleasure, only colors, and there is no impact, like a deeper impact or desire to change the world and to bring a message across, it's also not fulfilling as a process, I believe, for one. But it's the same as in any business, or also for coaching, right? You want to feel that what you do matters, that it has a deeper meaning, and that it's not just words, or it's not just a workshop, or it's not just nice colors together. So I think that is that connection with something more, striving for something more is important.
Yeah, this is interesting because there's so many things that you said that like are like pinging for me. That even as a healthcare professional, I'm an acupuncturist, I have the same kind of restriction on the way that I can practice my medicine if I were to, participate in certain, insurance policy plans and stuff like that, which is why from the beginning I never did. Because I never wanted anyone to dictate how I'm supposed to practice my medicine in the way that I know I can treat people best. And we see that in healthcare. I'm seeing this now with my family, all the things you have to go through before someone actually can get taken care of the way that they need to be taken care of. But the thing that I want to say, what you were saying, which is interesting, it's like, okay, well, you're the creator here. You've created these experiences to experience your art through this venue, through this forum of this system. So my question then would be, how can I use this, because this is my creation, how can I use this to take my art to the next level? Rather than seeing it as a block, how can I see it as a way to catapult my creative process and use that pressure and that tension as a way, as a catalyst rather than as a hindrance?
Mm. Oh, that is great, and I see that happening when I'm a little bit more like, hey, Arta, you're not there yet, work a little bit more on this. Then I really see in a couple of days, it's another level actually, because I pushed myself a little bit to work a little more, to hone my skill a little more, to learn a couple of more things, or to hear another story, or to go out and talk with people, and then respond to something a little more. So it is true that it can be a catapult. What I also thought about in the beginning, you mentioned fear of failure, and I think in this process of being in this kind of a bit gray area of perfectionism, is important to be aware that it's not my safe, yeah, that it's not um, my survival mechanism that is leading the decision making process, so it's not, I feel safe, to feel safe at all times, no matter what happens, like in my choice of colors, I'm not gonna check out, hey, what fits where. I'm just, this color feels good. It's totally the wrong color to be next to this one, but it feels good, and I'm safe to use whatever colors I want in this moment, or whatever bold lines I want, because I'm not going to be, I'm not in danger, you know, whatever decision I choose to make in the moment. Yeah.
It's like what you were saying, Michaela, about yourself as being a mother. It's like it feels good. And that's the defining factor for you. I think this kind of ties into what we were talking about last time, don't you think, about how to know when you don't know? It's how do you define these things for yourself? And I think perfectionism may be just one facet of that.
And there are several areas in your life where you can be perfect, or you get perfect work out. So maybe in your job to be a perfect coach or someone, what does it mean? I love to ask the question, what does perfectionism means to you? When could I say I am a perfect coach or I deliver perfect service? I even don't know at this moment. I have to think about it. What would be perfectionism? Do I have to compare myself with other coaches, or do I have to compare myself with me in the past? So maybe it could be interesting to compare myself and don't compare with others, because maybe they have another opinion about perfectionism than I have, and that's very the interesting thing. And even you could have perfectionism in your relationship. What is a perfect relationship? Or in familyhood, what is the perfectionism in it? What is a perfect family? It's so interesting. I to put this word, to really at first look at this word and what does it mean to me, and then to put it in the areas of my life and look where do I want to be perfect in somehow. And it's really interesting because I how do you say it, I lay down my layer very high, and I think, oh, I have to be better in that, and I have to be better in that. And I think that's so much push and so much, it takes so much energy out of myself, and to give more and to be better and to compare again. And so and so that's why I love this, Brie, what you're telling. If you go inside and really look inside, and it was so it was so relaxing myself when I tell myself, you really, if you make a decision about your child, what do you feeling in this way, and what do you are feeling in that way, and what is then the best decision that takes less power out of myself, energy. So it gets me energy because I'm feeling good when I do that, because I have a good feeling about that. And when I do something because anybody, even my mother or so, is telling me, oh, you have to do this, that, in that way, because everybody does it in that way, this thing, the normal thing. It's also a very interesting topic. What is normal? And I love to really look at these words and ask myself, what does it mean to me, this word? And what does it mean? What meaning do I want to give it in my life? And perfectionism is really a thing that took place several years in my life, and I somehow put it off. It doesn't work for me anymore. So, but I also see at the coach, I want to deliver a great service, and I want to my clients have to look so much out of it, my work. And there's coming the perfectionism out of the back, out of the back, so somehow. And it's interesting where it goes to several areas in life.
So Michaela, I have a question for you. As you were talking, this is so interesting. So what would you guys say, both of you actually, what would you say the difference is between perfectionism and mastery?
Wow.
I know, big question as we're coming to like the end of our.
I what comes in my mind is I had a teacher in the art school. I think he was giving a definition of art, and we are all artists here, by the way. You know, we all have an art form, and he was giving a definition of art somewhere from Asia. I don't remember which country it was, and the definition was doing something as good as you can. That is art. Whatever it is. And when you mentioned remastering, so I think it's very close to that. So art is when you are mastering. So what you are mastering, of course, it's up to you. But when you, I guess that's a nicer way to put it. Mastering your art rather than calling it perfectionism.
Ooh, I
Right?
like that. That feels really like, ooh, in here when you said that, it just totally made my heart go, wow.
Yeah, for me, it's also a feeling that's coming up for me because when I hear the word perfectionism, it's a little bit like a box, you know, there's something in it, and I have to take these things out of the box to be perfect. And the mastery is somehow I can grow. It's somehow you do something, or you grow, or you shift something. It's more fluidly, and even you go higher steps higher. So, and even, yeah, it's yeah, I like that more because there is no pressure in it. When I hear perfectionism, there's somehow feeling pressure in it. And mastery is so I'm, oh, it's interesting what's coming for me there. And it's somehow open. Nobody when do you are a master of something, or when do you get a master of something? And yeah, I loved it so much. It's open. For myself, it's more open energy.
It's so true. I love how you said that. It's so true. There's no growth in perfectionism, but you can always continue to master different levels of yourself or whatever it is you're applying yourself to, which is really yourself anyway, because it's all you. But I love that, Michaela. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's about movement. That what's the
Yeah.
word I didn't get. It's more movement in it.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's so important to arrive to this point when, like, on a daily basis, that you feel, oh, I'm mastering my art more and more, you know, with every day. And there is also this saying, better done than perfect, which also resonates with me, because with knowing that I have a little tendency to be perfectionist, because I have this history of that. Better done than perfect also liberates me and makes me move faster, you know. It's good. It's good as it is, and I can show it to the world. I don't have to hide it because maybe it's not a masterpiece yet, but it's definitely a step forward.
It's a
So
mastering piece.
a mastering piece, yes. Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, an interesting fact in art, that earlier works of famous artists are actually more expensive than, because they are they're considered more expensive in the art auctions and art market than the later well mastered ones, because there is certain niceness about, you know, something which has been just the start of a career, for example. And sometimes I look back at what I have done in terms of videos as well as a coach, or some old sketches like 10 years ago, and I'm like, wow, it's so pure, it's so free, it's so weird and nice at the same time.
So though that comes to me that the unperfect things are more interesting before maybe because maybe we are, yeah, feel ourselves closer to the unperfect things than to the perfect things. And that comes, the unperfect things got the masterpieces somehow. And it's very interesting. Yes. Nice
Yeah.
to nice to hear this. It's very wow.
Yeah, I love that how you said that, Michaela. The way and that's fascinating, Arta, because the way that I received that was, really treasure and value where you are in the imperfection, because that's more valuable than your idea of what things should look like. Yeah.
Nice. All right, I think we can round up this session, this podcast episode. Thank you, ladies, for sharing your thoughts. And thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel, share it with your friends, inspire other people, and we will be back next week. Bye. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.